Okay. Now, I am thrilled to be introducing today's presenter, Christie Wengranowski from the Flying Horse Design Studio. Scribbling since she could hold a writing tool, then morphing into sketching, drawing, painting, and finally digital creative, it is no surprise that Christie landed herself in graphic design. She is passionate about working with flying horse clients, hearing their story, working with them as an invested team member, and ensuring they are truly represented in all visual design created by her team. Christie, take it away.
Thank you so much. So I don't have any formal presentation for you ladies today. I'm just going to share a little bit about my journey and my story. And it's actually exciting because we've got some newer people. Mary Beth, I know you said you're 2 years into business, and I wish that I was in something like this when I first started out, because it's so invaluable to just be in such a great group of women and learn from everybody and collaborate. So a little bit about me. I've been an artist since I could basically walk. And my parents decided when I was 7 that they were going to put me into the Langley Fine Arts School, which is in Fort Langley, where our office now is. It was a brand new school, and it was aimed at fostering the arts and creative side of children. And so it was a no-brainer to put somebody that was already into that sort of school. I actually stayed there right through grade 12 because they grew the school from elementary all the way to high school. So it literally in its first year was grade 1 to grade 5. And then they added on a grade each year until they reached grade 12. So that was pretty cool. And so I fostered my love of art. I also was into music and dance and acting and all of that stuff. Sorry, I can hear somebody's feedback on I don't know if it's me or anyways. So basically, as you guys can see, my company name is called Flying Horse Design Studio. And so I am actually an equestrian. I'm very passionate about horses, and I had a lovely horse named Roman, who is a big part of my life. And so once upon a time, when I was finishing up high school, I actually wanted to be a horse trainer. I wanted to teach kids how to ride horses. I wanted to train horses. And so I did that for a bit, and unfortunately learned at a fairly early age that it was a bit of a thankless career. And it was a lot of physical labor. I was constantly getting hurt. I was starting to lose my passion to ride my own horse because I was constantly dealing with other people's horses, which I loved. But then at the end of the day, you're so tired. You're like, oh, I don't have time. So one night I actually was talking to a guy I was dating at the time who was younger than me. And I kind of thought, he's just a funny guy. We're talking on the phone because that's what you did back then. And he said, well, you're good at art and stuff. Maybe you could like design logos, or maybe you could create video games. I don't know. What is that? And I kind of went, I don't even know. What is that? And so I decided to go on the internet, which was not, dial up at that time as well. And kind of check out who makes a logo? What is a logo or brochure? Oh, graphic design. So it only took me a couple of days after that to sign up for a program at BCIT, a one-year intensive that kind of gave me a broad spectrum of graphic design, but also basic web design, video. I did some 3D animation. And so that's what started me on this path. And interestingly enough, my little brother, who's 4 years younger than me, he took the program too. Now he actually went into IT and I went into design, but he's been a huge asset in my life and me and his to help both of us foster our careers. I was really mad that he went in the program with me at first because it was my thing, but I'm really glad that we did it together and it just strengthened our relationship. So BCIT was sort of the main training that I got. I came out of that with a diploma of what was called New Media and CD-ROM Development. And of course, we don't use CD-ROMs anymore, or even really DVDs for that matter. And after that, there was a lot of changes happening in the design world. Adobe InDesign was brand new, and so no one really knew anything about it. They didn't know how to teach it. They didn't know what it was all about. So I actually ended up taking a night course so I could learn a little more about InDesign and pre-press. And then I thought I better brush up on my drawing skills. So I also went to Capilano College and took a drawing course. And then just to make it even more interesting, I also took another course at Emily Carr all at the same time. So it was pretty fun going to night school and trying to find a job by day. so I eventually did find a job. It took me 6 months after graduating. It's hard to get in as a graphic designer in a career, and I think that's probably still very true, which is why a lot of people go into freelancing. But I landed a job in Langley, not far where I lived, and it was actually working for a company that made soft foam children's play areas. We don't see them really anymore. There used to be one at Guildford Mall here, but they were quite big in the United States. So I got to design the components, and I got actually really good at math and really good at using Illustrator to draw with. So even though it wasn't the design career I thought I'd go for, it gave me a lot of skills. Unfortunately, my boss was not a nice person, and he treated me and a number of the other staff quite poorly, to the point where one day he actually tore a strip out of me in front of everybody unnecessarily. And I thought, you know what, this is ridiculous. You've insulted how I was raised, you've insulted who I am as a person, and you've degraded me in front of my coworkers. It was really not a good time in my life. So I started looking for another job, and I could not get hired anywhere. It was so frustrating. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to have to figure something out. And a good friend of mine said, well, you know what? You're really good at graphics, and I'm really good at sales and marketing. And we don't like our jobs, and we don't like our bosses. So let's just start a graphic design and marketing company. And I think we can do this. And I kind of went, okay, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so anyways, my first reaction was, well, I can't quit my job because I need to pay my rent and my phone and my car bills and all that. So we started up the company in November of 2004. On the side, we started by finding clients that, were friends of our parents and people that we knew. And we got a really good response off the hop. It was really exciting because what we thought we could bring to the table was helping these mom and pop or small businesses have the things that they couldn't otherwise afford. $5,000 for a logo for a startup company, unless you're some really well-off person, that's quite a lot of money to spend. So we thought, well, what if we could offer a logo for $200? That's affordable now to somebody that's, maybe just a one-person show or starting out. And so we did that. We went and we serviced the area of people that were smaller businesses, but still deserve to be properly represented, not by them because there was no Canva back then. There was Microsoft Word. And I think maybe there was another program in Microsoft that I can't think of, another one with a P, but there was not PowerPoint. Anyhow, so there was very limited things for people to even do it themselves. So we went in and we actually took the industry by storm at the time. And our biggest thing at that time was business cards. We created these really awesome business cards for people and got them printed, and they loved them. And so then that turned into, we were getting more logos, and then we were getting brochures and rec cards. And before you knew it, we actually had a proper book of clients. But I still wasn't making much money, about $500 a month. And then I got fired from my real job. And it was a bittersweet moment, but probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because sometimes you just need to leap and trust. And I was too scared to take that leap at 25 years old. So they actually pushed me over the cliff, and it was a good thing. So business, we didn't know what we were doing. We were figuring it out. We invoiced manually. We learned as we went. There wasn't even really YouTube tutorials back then. So there was a lot of figuring out as we went, and it was hard. Not going to lie, it was hard to make enough money to survive. It was a challenge because I was in a relationship with a guy that was never working, and I had a lot on my shoulders to look after not only my horses, but to support my unemployed boyfriend. And it was a really crazy year, really, really crazy time. But then things changed. I would say the end of 2011, my business partner and I realized that we weren't gonna be able to move forward together. She was due with her second baby and really just wanted to focus on her family. And I wanted to focus on the business, and I wanted to focus on growing it and changing it and morphing it. So we parted ways in May of 2012, and it was not the easiest thing, but we did it amicably, and we are still very good friends. So to this day, we talk all the time. And then from there, I was on my own. I was free to kind of start growing things and doing things without having to worry about if she was going to approve or not. So I renamed the company Flying Horse Design Studio. yes, I love horses and they're a big part of my life, but really what it represents is the winged horse. There's a powerfulness about this style of horse. It's more like a Trojan powerful animal, but having the wings was me taking flight into that next part of my career, my life. And I just knew right away. My mom and dad have a statue of a horse in their house like that, minus the wings. I'm like, that's my logo. So I drew it, and I just knew right away, and I still love it. And it's, well, the 2012, so 9 years this year of flying horse. So
You have 1 more minute.
Oh yeah. So basically, yeah, I took it from there. I started building back up a team, and I have 2 amazing girls that work for me now. And with having this team in place, we've been able to go from scrambling to barely, making the money to having a thriving business. And it's because I've taken the time to be in groups like this and collaborate and get to know people. And it's amazing how that can really help you flourish and just grow into the next best version of yourself. So that's sort of my story. I'm always happy to talk to people if they're ever stuck or frustrated, if they're in a weird place in their business, because I've been through it all. And I want to see people get through that stuff faster now than I did. I wish that I had people like you in my life back then, but you know what? It got me to where I am today, and that's the main thing. So anyhow, I could talk forever. Basically what we do today to help people is we offer like a retainer based virtual design team. So instead of, if you don't have a need for a full-time person, we come in and act like your full-time team. So we can be reached on demand, just as you would if it was a person in the next office. The benefit is there's no overhead costs of having an employee, no computer, no Adobe software, and just having a group of people that get you and don't need to be handheld. So that's where we see our advantage in the industry, is really being able to take care of our clients' needs so that they don't have to worry about it and can just know that it's getting done properly. And that's me. That's my story.
Thank you so much. We have 1 minute for questions, if anybody has any questions.
I just have a quick question. At the end, you mentioned retainers.